Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Rewind Show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below and hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from R&N. On this edition of the Trucks Rewind, we're looking back at today's 19th annual Corrigan Oil 200. 100 laps, 200 miles from the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. A few incidents happening on the day. 5 cautions for 22 laps. Nothing in Stage 1. That ended at lap 20. Your Stage 1 winner was Stuart Friesen. Stage 2, we had a couple of incidents. First one happening at lap 29 as the 54 truck of Matt Mills got into the wall in turn number 2. Second incident of stage number 2 was at lap 37. The 45 truck of Justin Fontaine also getting in the wall in turn number 2. Stage 2 concluded lap number 40. Your Stage 2 winner would be Grant Infinger. One caution for an incident in stage number 3. That was at lap number 80. As we had an incident on the front stretch between the 13 of Myatt Snyder and the 25 of Dalton Sargent. Those would be your only incidents on the day. Very exciting race right down to the finish. Lap leaders on the day. We had a couple tied for most laps on the day. 18 laps apiece went to Noah Gragson and Matt Crafton. 16 laps led both by Johnny Sauter and by Grant Infinger. 12 laps went to Stuart Friesen. 8 laps led by Todd Gilliland. 6 laps led by John Hunter Nemechek. 5 by Brett Moffitt. And 1 lap led by Wendell Chavis. Alright, so let's get into your results on the day. A fantastic battle right down to the line coming off of turn number 4 between the two guys that have kind of established themselves as your championship contenders for this season, Brett Moffitt and Johnny Sauter, with Brett Moffitt edging out Johnny Sauter in a photo finish. Took it by about a little less than half a truck length at the line as Moffitt gets a huge run on the low side off of turn number 4. Brett Moffitt picking up his 4th victory of the season, his 5th Truck Series victory of his career. Johnny Sauter came home in the 2nd position, came up just a bit short after leading a lot of the late portions of the race. John Hunter Nemechek in the 3rd position, and Kyle Busch Motorsports teammates Noah Gragson and Todd Gilliland rounded out the top 5. Todd Gilliland looked late like this might be the race that he wins to get into the playoffs that will really shake things up. Unfortunately, not the case. He's got one chance left to do that, and that is at Bristol next week. Rest of your top 10, ThorSport teammates Ben Rhodes and Grant Infinger 6th and 7th. Stuart Friesen there in the 8th position. Justin Haley and Matt Crafton rounded out the top 10. Down here 11th through 20th, we talked about the incident for Dalton Sargent late in the event with about 20 laps to go. He rebounded for a 12th place finish. Cody Coughlin in that number 2 truck for GMS came home in the 14th position. Myatt Snyder, he was also caught up in that incident with Dalton Sargent. He ended up first truck, 1 lap down in the 18th position. 21st through 30th, Spencer Davis in that 51 truck this week for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Had a very off day, 5 laps down at the end of the race in 22nd. And down here, 31st and 32nd, last page, we see Matt Mills. We talked about him having his problems in stage number 2. He was out very early at lap 27, 31st on the day for Matt Mills in that DGR Crosley truck. Alright, so that is your results for the Corrigan Oil 200. Now let's head over to the Michigan Media Center and we'll see which top finishers on the day had to say after this one.
Well, yeah, kind of. You know, I did everything I was doing the last 10 or 12 laps, and I felt like I'd carry more momentum. Obviously, he's got a built engine, so I think his power band is a little more forgiving. He gets a lot bigger pull down the back straightaway than some. So They said clear by 3 coming off 2, and I kept watching it in the mirror, and I just felt like if I ran the middle, I'd keep momentum up. I felt like when I get to the bottom, I was bogging a little bit, but I screwed up. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I should have ran the bottom, but I do feel like maybe he would have squirted to the top. So, I mean, sitting duck kind of for sure. I mean, you just know he's planning to run, but you just don't know when. So I still feel like if I could have ran the bottom, I don't know what he would have done, but I don't know. I'm just pretty pissed at myself for, giving away a win. We struggled all weekend, made wholesale changes to that thing. Last night we sat in the room till 10:30 going through everything, and I mean wholesale. So great rally, and had an awesome truck. The middle to the late stages of the race, the thing just came alive, and I just screwed up.
A lot better now. We kind of had a rough little patch there where we still had really fast tundras, and everyone was working hard, but we just didn't have things go our way, and we didn't execute the races like we needed to. So it's good to have one work out. I wouldn't say we had the most speed today, but we had a really good handling truck, and that was what was key. And we've had good trucks all year long. So it's just an honor to get to drive them. We got a lot of momentum going in the playoffs now. Got some more playoff points today, and that's a positive feeling.
All right, so let's take a look at your playoff grid before wrapping up here today. And the only change here being that Brett Moffitt has closed that gap to Johnny Sauter at the top of the playoff grid now. Both of them with 4 wins this season now. Johnny Sauter still has 1 more playoff point than Brett Moffitt, which is why he is still at the top of the board. But they are definitely right there together, and I think really establishing themselves right now as the 2 championship favorites. Noah Gragson's right there, though, with 12 playoff points going, hey, guys, don't forget about me. I'm still here. I've only won 1 race, but I've been pretty good this season. Don't forget about me. Down here at the cutoff line, 94 points is the gap now from Matt Crafton to Myatt Snyder. 1 race left. It's absolutely impossible at this point for these guys to point their way in. Myatt Snyder, Cody Coughlin, Dalton Sargent, Todd Gilliland, any of these guys outside of the top 8, they have to win at Bristol if they want to get into the playoffs. That is the only possible scenario for any of them at this point, with Myatt Snyder being the closest guy out, and he's still 94 points back. It's the only way for any of these guys to get in. So I think that's setting up even more excitement than normal for Bristol, because you got a lot of these guys hungry to get into the playoffs, especially guys like Todd Gilliland, who are good enough to be in the playoffs and have proved that, but they're just not for whatever reason. Todd Gilliland's reason obviously being that he didn't start some of the races early on in the season because he wasn't 18 yet. Now he is, and he is still playoff eligible, but unfortunately does not have the points to quite get there. He's got to win in Bristol at this point if he wants to get into the playoffs and contend for the 2018 championship. So that'll be exciting to watch going forward, and I think that will do it for us tonight on the Trucks Rewind show. We have an Xfinity Rewind coming up here in a little bit as well for their race at Mid-Ohio that also happened earlier today. That'll go up shortly after this does, so keep an eye out for that. And then, of course, as always, a Cup Rewind going up tomorrow evening for the Michigan race tomorrow as well. So lots going on here on RNN this weekend as usual, and we've got some big stuff coming up next weekend as ARCA returns to action, so you want to keep an eye out for that. If you haven't done it already, you need to go down below and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of this going forward from RNN. And hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video. It is much appreciated when you do. So with that, this has been the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.